The Christmas tree and Santa Claus. What is the meaning of the Christmas tree, the star at the top, the presents at the bottom, and the idea of Santa Claus coming from the North Pole to the roof, down the chimney, out the fireplace, to give either charcoal or coal or presents? What is the meaning? What is the metaphysical meaning of this? In spirituality and metaphysics, there's always an inner interpretation that illumines our mind and heart to a greater participatoriness, a greater understanding, and interactiveness with the world around us. And what is the meaning of the Christ child born of a virgin at midnight between Christmas Eve and Christmas? And what is the meaning of the 12 days of Christmas? Metaphysically speaking, spiritually, esoterically. So just to jump right into it, there's an historical and there's a Dreamtime myth. There's probably 7 levels of interpretation. But what I'd like to share today is an insight into the Christmas tree and Santa and the birth of 50-some Spirit of the Sun heroes to help the earth that seem to all be born around the solstice and Christmas time, Hanukkah time, New Year's time, the longest night and shortest daytime. What does all that mean? So I think the idea behind spirituality is that there's something within each human being that can benefit the earth, that can give its gift, that can learn something that illumines and makes starlight, you know? I mean, there's something that can happen in the experience of being on the earth that can illuminate and raise our consciousness to our what might be called the higher self, or the Christ self, or the Buddhist self, the divine. How do we divine the divine within each other and within the myth realities that happen during the festivals, especially at this time of the year, the turn of the year? Well, to just jump into it, the Christmas tree is the evergreen, that we bring something from outside. We bring the rough nature of evergreen and ever-recurring nature inside the house and warm it up. It's the human being that puts the star on top of the tree. It's the human being that brings the presents at the bottom of the tree. It's the human being that ornates and brings ornament and decoration to the tree. And metaphysically speaking, you know, from an esoteric point of view, you can, you know, I think that a good way to look at it is that we experience the outer world, we bring it to our inside, and we add lights, we add insights. And all the ornaments on the tree represent spiritual insights and realities and experiences that we've had, good and bad, of every color. The meaning and purpose in the learning lesson that makes a mistake not a mistake. The higher insight that raises us like the rose above the thorn. The Christmas rose, what is that about? The whole idea of the Star of Bethlehem leading the 3 wise men above the manger with the domesticated animals and Mary and Joseph and the Christ child. This whole idea of bringing outer nature to the inner nature and finding meaning and purpose and illumination. And I think that as we get more mature or older, or we experience a few lifetimes, the mind stream continuum, the soul, pilgrim soul journeying from one lifetime to another, from one experience to another, from one bead on the mala or rosary to another. There's something that every bead, every moment becomes kind of an ornament on our tree. So just making it real simple, we follow a higher star, whether that's an angel or a god or virtue. According to Neoplatonists and Hermetic tradition, the angels are virtues. When Jesus says, ye are gods in the becoming, from the Neoplatonic and Hermetic tradition, that would be we're virtues in the becoming. We're God-like in the becoming. So we bring our experience of the tree, the evergreen, we bring it in, and we get insights and we ornament the tree, and the star is our higher self. The ideal is to follow the star, and the traditional Christmas tree is like a triangle. It's pointing to the top. It's pointing to the star at the top. So the three wise men represent the physical, emotional, and mental, or the virtue mind of the thinking, feeling, and willing, the ennobling of the thinking, feeling, and willing through realization, insight, virtue, illumination, higher calling. And we follow the star over the tree. It's almost like trying to have a vision quest at the top of the mountain. To a degree that we can follow our higher self and a virtue, a God, an ideal, we find the star. We follow the true star. We're guided through the night. And to a degree we aren't ready for spirituality or self-realization, enlightenment, we're gifted with presents, material presents that keep us in the game, desire and fear and things that we think we need to clothe ourselves with, our naked spirit, soul. So that's one way to approach the Christmas tree, is that we're trying to get to the star or the top of the mountain for a vision quest. We're trying to experience our at-one-ment, our atonement, not our atonement, but our tuning, our at-one-ment. We're trying to forgive the past. For means future, and give ourselves to the future. Forgiving is really giving yourself to the future and letting karma teach us, rather than, because we really can't forgive people's karma, but we can let it go and learn from it so we don't repeat it, right? So we're trying to follow the star. We're trying to give each other gifts that will help us in this journey and not just weigh us down, because Santa spells Satan. Now, I don't believe there's a devil outside of ignorance and delusion. I think that we're all children of God. We're children of the universe. We're virtues in the becoming. We're beautiful. And we're good, true, and beautiful when we're our true self. But I think that sometimes people can over-materialistically get attached to form and forget the limitless love and truth. And so there's kind of like, you might say, a good and bad side to all these things, and we have to choose the good, So Santa comes from the north, or a higher self, above our head, the crown jewel, the Om Mani Padme Hum, the Om of the deity or virtue that comes into the Mani, thinking, flowering heart, Padme Hum, manifesting virtue and virtuous deeds of good, true, beautiful on the earth. So Santa represents either the Sanat Kumara, the divine spiritual virgin angel. It represents our higher self coming down to see if we've been virtuous or non-virtuous. And do we get coal that one day would turn into a diamond sutra, a diamond virtue practice, a pureness, a clearness, a marriage of heaven and earth, the diamond as the ring signature of the marriage of heaven and earth. The five-pointed star being the apple cut sideways as the five senses that we've spiritualized. or the five senses that drag down our spiritual self. So these are all symbols that have a positive and negative value depending on how we look at it. And I think basically it's really beautiful that the man from the north comes down from above, comes down through the chakras, comes out the fireplace of the sex center or the will center or action hero center to see if we've been good or bad. And whether you get presents or you have to wait and be patient to pressurize yourself to make a diamond, clearness. And the Christmas tree and Santa go together. I like the idea of the 8 candles, Hanukkah, reaching the octave of light, the 7 notes of music in the octave. The Festival of Lights, that all the ornaments and lights around the tree guide us, spiritualize us on our journey to the star of wisdom and truth and compassion and loving kindness. So this is a simple approach to Christmas, and I think a deeper esoteric approach would see the solstice to Christmas as the 4 elements of fire, earth, air, and water, warmth of love, and spiritual inspirations, and compassion, and loving kindness, and manifestation of destiny, having spirit matter, having matter become spiritualized, that we recognize and can divine each other's holiness, possibilities of creative virtue. So the solstice to Christmas is the time of recapitulation of the mineral, plant, animal, and human. Then the 12 days of Christmas become the 12 signs of the zodiac, of the 12 knights of the grail, the 12 companions of Jason and the Argonauts, the 12 jewels in the ancient rabbis' chest jewels. It can be many other things too, but I think the 12 days of Christmas are the spiritualization. It's like 3 times 4. It's the next 3 earth evolutions. Like from solstice to Christmas in Blavatsky's Isis Unveiled in Secret Doctrine that Einstein read and Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr., Manly Hall read it, Rudolf Steiner read it. And in Rudolf Steiner's Outline of Esoteric Science and Rosicrucian Wisdom, Foundations of Esotericism, all available at the Mayflower Bookshop in Berkeley, Michigan. The idea of the next 3 earth evolutions being spiritualized by the tetragrammaton of the 4 spiritual elements. I mean, that might be too confusing to you, but I think if you just think about solstice to Christmas as a recapitulation and healing of the physical, emotional, mental, and the ego. And then from the 12 days of Christmas to 12 days later, January 4th, we're spiritualizing our future, and we're entering into the future. So more on that later. I just wanted to give you a brief on Santa is Sanat Kumara, who sits under the Bodhi tree in silence, and all of his students are enlightened. The Christmas time is like, on the midnight, is like the idea of the Virgin, of stillness and silence and meditative prayer that's fecundated by the spirit of the sun, the Christos of the Greeks, the Hermes, the Christ, the hero. The Virgo rising, that happens at midnight on Christmas Eve into Christmas. This is so there's a mythological and there's an astronomical, and there's several levels of understanding these things, of which I'm giving you a lot of imaginations that you could kind of make your own and be imaginatively sparked and inspired, and you could intuit a way to live better, that might hook you up to the university of life and lifelong learning of until we get all enlightened and the world's at peace, and we all have a goodwill and a magic charm of loving kindness, compassion, wisdom, insight. Until that day, may we keep learning. And may we be able to awaken all the festivals of the year. They all have magical meaning that can awaken the average person to be holy and virtuous and creative, co-creative with the whole of their life and the future of the earth. That's the wish. That's the wish and the gift that I'm trying to give you this holy time of the year, the most holy time of the year. So solstice to Christmas, we heal and renew the mineral, plant, animal, and human, the physical, emotional, mental, and the ego. And then from Christmas to January 4th, 12 days of Christmas, we give and receive gifts that divinely inspire us to have feeling and love and compassion and water. We're baptized in the water and the fire of the Holy Spirit. Like the sun, the earth is closer to the sun at this time of the year. And when we look from the earth to the sun, we see the galactic center, the core of our galaxy with zillions of stars. It's a festival of light. And it's an attunement where the dark and the light kind of meet to resurrect and raise consciousness. Each of us is connected to everything in the universe, past, present, and future. Each of us is a holy stillness, a virgin Isis, the virgin mother of Krishna, Mithras, Apollo, the virgin. Each of us has a virgin stillness and pureness deeper than our wound, deeper than our thinking and feeling, deeper than our pleasure. We have a stillness, and we have a divining of holy fire of love that's going to connect us. That's why I make music, trying to spark that love and higher consciousness. So I like mantra, Om Mane Padme Hum. Om can be your virtue or your God or your higher self, and Mane, the mind, Padme, the flowering heart, and Hum, you, me, putting it into action. Om 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 Mane Padme Hum. May all beings find happiness. And bless your heart on this holy time of the year. Tune in, keep tuned in, get on our mailing list, mayflowerbookshop.com, and check out the new songs. I've got a new song I'm really happy about on my YouTube station, Mayflower Bookshop, Robert Thibodeau. Keep a little space in your heart. Keep a little space in your heart for everybody. Keep a little space in your heart for you and me. Bless your heart.